Hello everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the second day of New Harvest 2022. How are ya? Okay, everyone's asleep. That's fine. I said, how are you? Okay, fine. All right. We'll just get the show moving. I'm very excited to welcome you back for the second day of New Harvest 2022. As you know, yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about what the market won't solve. And so we talked a lot about collaboration. I don't know, maybe some parts of the market can solve some parts of that. We talked a lot about getting companies to be more open about their IP. We talked a lot about safety. We talked a lot about scale. And today we're going to talk about interrogating the big questions. I know everyone's looking forward to the fireside chat with the author of the counter article. We're also going to have some great discussions about climate change and cell ag as a part of the climate change story. Got a lot of great stuff coming up today. Okay, we're going to do Slido again really quickly for people in the audience who might be new, but also for people watching on the live stream who might be joining us for the first time on day 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to slido.com and you're going to type in the hashtag NH2022, New Harvest 2022. And the question that I want to ask you to get started off today is, what are you most excited to see today at New Harvest? Everybody's looked at the program. You all know what's coming up. We're interrogating the big questions. Which big question are you most excited about today? And we'll try to get that on the screen. And then we'll see. We'll see what people say. I am personally, it's a tie for me between our first talk, where we're going to be interrogating the role of cell ag in the climate story, and that counter article and the discussion with David Humbird. All the elephants, I love that. A lot of people are saying the counter article. And TEAs. We all love TEAs. Okay. And climate. Yeah, okay. Well, it sounds like a lot of us are in agreement about what we're excited about. The town hall is going to be amazing. So at the end of today, we're going to have a town hall and talk about how the community can rally together and get behind New Harvest and help New Harvest. Antinatalist animal rights. That's an interesting one. Matt's talk. See, everybody's excited. Everybody's excited about the fruit flies. Okay, this is amazing. So it sounds like we do have some excitement coming up in the room. Great, love to see it. Before we get started with our first slate of talks, I have a couple of special guests coming up on stage from Newlab. So Clair, Purcell, and Abdul Khogali are going to come up and give you a special announcement.
Thank you. Hi. It's lovely to be here. I'm Clair.
I'm Abdul.
The first time I heard the word cellular agriculture was actually a few months ago. I was on the back of a bus with Bree from New Harvest. We were at the Ferment conference heading over to the foundry of Ginkgo Bioworks to check it out and have a look at it. And Bree said something to me that I found really interesting. She said, everyone, it feels like a lot of the entrepreneurs or the new businesses in the cellular agriculture space, they all want to be about the chicken nuggets, the fun end consumer businesses. And really what we need is a lot of businesses that are in the back end and the infrastructure ones building the industry. My first thought was, I like chicken nuggets. My second thought was, what the heck is cellular agriculture? And so that was the start of a journey into this wonderful, complex, impactful space that you all inhabit, that leads us to the announcement that we're about to make today. I think maybe part of the resonance that I felt with what Bree was talking about, and as I've discovered more about this industry, is that Newlab has always been a home for people who are working on things that really matter, but that most people don't really understand. The space that you've been here maybe for a day so far. This space was built in 1905, and it was designed as a space for ships to be created for for the war. And over the century that followed, it deteriorated to the point that when our co-founders 6 years ago took it over, it had birds in the ceiling and trees growing up in the middle of it. But they had a vision, and that was to turn it into the space that you are part of today, which is really about honoring the grit and the guts that it takes to do hard work and to work on things that are going to make a difference, but that are difficult and challenging. And so it is a space, but today Newlab is so much more than just the space. We're an ecosystem that brings together all the players necessary to solve hard technical problems. So startups, corporates, investors, institutes, we create the conditions for all of these people to play together to get to a solution and to grow and make it impactful. You would have seen the desks around the members of this space that are using the fabrication facilities and each other to grow their businesses and launch products. We have programs then, innovation studios, that pair startups with corporates to work on challenges together, to provide new information to the corporate, but also to scale and grow the startup themselves and their product and get it out there in market. We have an investments team that makes sure that capital and money flow through the system so that they can grow. And then what Abdul and I work in is the venture studio team. And we use that system to look and understand and identify opportunities where new businesses are needed. And then we create those businesses from scratch and support them through the first stage of their growth to give them the best chance of success. So I came to Newlab from 8 years. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I launched my first business when I was in my early 20s, sold it 5 years later, and then joined Boston Consulting Group's digital ventures, where I was launching and building businesses in partnership with Fortune 500 companies. So they would come to us and say, I want to make $1 billion. And we'd be like, well, okay, let's look at the market. Let's see how that could happen. We'd come up with the business ideas, design them, and then I'd act as the interim CEO and while we built out the first product and built out the business around it. So the operations, bring in the new team, raise its first 15 to 20 million, and then scale it from there and watch it grow. It was a very successful model. We saw a lot of great businesses, and I built some things that I'm very proud of. But a couple of years ago, I started to get a little bit antsy. And actually, it's thanks to Ginkgo Bioworks. I read an article about synthetic biology, which was the first time I'd heard about it since learning about it in uni a decade before, and realized that this is becoming a reality. That this materials, the digital revolution that I'd just spent a decade in, was about to be superseded by the materials revolution. And in the same way that every single company was impacted by the digital revolution, every single company is going to be impacted by the materials revolution. And I had to be a part of that. And so when Newlab reached out, it was the perfect opportunity. And I came here to build businesses that are going to advance that materials revolution because I really believe in that. So it's no surprise that our venture studio focuses on businesses that will positively impact the material world. And that often means that we partner with inventors and scientists and people with very niche and technical expertise to launch those businesses. It's also no surprise that 2 of the 3 business areas that we're focused on right now are about materials, because I'm very excited about it, and particularly the one on the right is what we're going to talk to you about today. The problem is, I actually don't know that much about materials. So I went out and found somebody who does.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. So if you're sitting in this room already, you understand the promise that biotechnology offers. And of course, in addition to that, you understand the promise that the cell ag industry offers. I'm no stranger to this. Over the last 4 years, I worked at Genesis Bioindustries. It's a biotechnology company based out of Canada that uses fermentation to take organic waste and produce a biodegradable polymer from it. And equipped with that experience, I wanted to join the Newlab team and see how we could build more than one company in the biotech space. And over the last month or so, we've really been kind of surveying the market when it comes to cell ag and understanding where opportunities lie. And that's really what we're here to talk to you guys about today and share a little bit about that research. And then, of course, we want to share what Newlab is going to do about it. So over the past 5 years, there's been a flurry of activity in the space. Over $1.3 billion was invested just last year alone in small and large companies. Over 21 companies were formed just in 2021, and there's all these publications that are coming out. You would think that these are all signs of an industry that's pushing towards commercialization at a rapid pace, and that products are right around the corner. I'm not really sure if that's the case, right? And that's because a lot of the larger companies are actually vertically integrated. They got to focus on everything at the same time. They need to build out their companies, they need to build out the supply chain, deliver the product, etc. We believe that there needs to be a lot more businesses that enable this growth to work collaboratively together to kind of build out the ecosystem and help it mature as it grows. And if you were to take a look at an analogous industry like car manufacturing, you'll see that there's all these different players along the value chain of the supply chain. They each play their own part to help you drive that car that you own or hope to one day own. Right now in cell ag, we don't see a similar kind of value chain or supply chain that's really delineated in the right way. And we have this philosophy that there doesn't really need to be winner-take-all companies in the space. We actually want to have an ecosystem that's thriving where collaboration amongst individuals and companies helps the industry mature to where it needs to be. And we really kind of mapped out the value chain or the supply chain, especially on the protein production side, and we've seen about 4 opportunity areas that I'd like to speak to you about today. So that's really around alternative manufacturing processes, optimizing bioprocess condition, and of course, production systems, softwares and toolkits that enable that kind of activity, and of course, developing optimized discovery platforms to find new ingredients and materials that could serve as inputs. So I'm just gonna jump into the first one here. It's really about alternative manufacturing processes. A lot of the folks in the cell ag space either do precision fermentation or they have cell culturing, techniques that they want to scale. But there's a whole host of other pathways and other novel manufacturing systems that could be leveraged. I'm talking building things out through insects, future fields. Talking about, molecular farming with plants, how fungi and plant-based materials could serve as scaffolds, and 3D printing technologies, and examining all of these different aspects and really kind of pushing the edge on what's developed now and what could be developed in the future. And the really cool thing about this specific opportunity area is if we're able to launch a business successfully in this space, it'll extend well beyond cell ag. Not only will it have applications in this field, but in a lot of biotechnology companies as well, which accounts for the larger market size that's shown here. We also think that platform technologies need to be developed. This is kind of the holy grail of synthetic biology. Build a platform technology that'll allow you to build products, materials, cost effectively, sustainably, and of course, cheaper and faster. In my opinion, no one's been able to perfect this so far, but I feel that more shots on goal will allow this industry to move forward. And especially, I think it's especially relevant when it comes to the cell ag space and in terms of building out protein inputs or other types of materials that could be used to kind of grow the products that all of you guys in the room are looking to grow. We also think that software and toolkits is another area of ripe opportunity. Now, when I was at Genesis, we had to build out our own kind of software systems, and a lot of the work that we did was manually done. We'd move one thing from one piece of equipment to another. And of course, that's suitable for the early stages, but we believe that if you develop the right software suites and allow them to be, successfully added into your infrastructure, you'll have a lot more automation that will allow you to lower your costs, and you'll focus a lot less on the manual work that needs to be done between process areas. And I think everyone could benefit from that, not only in cell ag, but once again in the broader biotech industry. And of course, the last area that we want to look at is optimizing bioprocessing infrastructure. So I'm talking about real-time sensors that will allow you to monitor the key fermentation or growth conditions that are required and can be bolted onto either a bioreactor or other bioprocessing equipment that's available. And I believe that through that type of technology add-on to existing infrastructure, we're able to move the technology and the industry forward as a whole, but we'll also be able to enable scalability and access to scalable technologies. I also want to take a look at closed-loop systems. So applying green chemistry principles where they make sense to do so, and seeing how we can upcycle and recycle waste streams within the process flows so that things are done in a more resource-efficient way and cost-effectively. And of course, last, but definitely not least, this is actually my personal favorite, decentralized production systems. So instead of spending all this money to build out one large facility that will have, not that much of an output at the end, we want to find ways, if possible, to build out these smaller networks of distributed, decentralized production systems so that you could send products throughout the world and make it be done in a way that actually makes sense from a profitability perspective and unit economics. So a lot of what I've been talking about has been focused around the cost, and rightfully so. Everybody in this room already understands that cost parity to getting towards towards incumbent products is something that's well needed. One of the figures that actually surprised me when I was doing my research is this is how much it costs to actually build out 1 kilogram of meat. And this was through a techno-economic assessment that was surveyed across 5 of the largest players in the cultivated meat industry. And if you look at that number and you look at what you spend at the grocery store for, say, beef or salmon, so it's a little bit of a difference, right? So we need to work to get that price point down. We believe that a lot of the technologies that we're looking at or the opportunity areas that we're focusing on will help enable that. We want to build out technologies that will allow for the lower costs of scaling technology, access to scalable infrastructure, embedding sustainability into the overall process, and most importantly, getting to cost parity with other materials. This might take some time, but through collaboration with others in the ecosystem, we could really get there. So now that I've shared a little bit about what we're looking to do in this space, let me tell you about what Newlab is looking to do in this space specifically. So we've actually formed a great partnership with Cult Food Science, Leggy, here in the crowd somewhere, hello. So not only has Leggy produced this amazing platform that enables investment into small early stage companies, it's actually one of the first of its kind within North America that helps sell ag-based companies. And I really like the collaborative model that he's kind of helping develop so that others in the ecosystem could thrive. Alongside Leggy, myself, Clair, and the rest of the venture studio team, which is sitting right here, we're looking to build out a business in this space that is impactful. The next steps look like we're trying to find entrepreneurs over the next 3 to 5 months that have conviction behind a given opportunity area or a business idea, and then we'll work alongside them to build out that business into an investment pitch deck that we would bring to our internal investment committee here at Newlab. And then through Newlab, we hope to grow that business into something special. And how that's going to happen, Claire is going to give you some remarks right now.
And so the definition of an entrepreneur is really broad. It could be an inventor, someone who's a researcher right now. You don't have to be the one launching the business. Maybe you just want to work on clarifying what the business is, and then we'll build the business around it. The great thing about a venture studio, and rather than, say, an accelerator where you have to have a pitch and a team and an idea already formulated, is that we work at the hypothesis stage. So we have a hypothesis similar to a scientific approach where that could be, this thing could become a business, or we think there's a hypothesis that we could find a new business in this space and that this business would be impactful. And then we have a process which we use to go and validate that hypothesis and turn it into something that can be real and impactful. So why would you want to join a venture studio and build and explore building businesses within a venture studio environment? I can't really think of any other more simple way to say it, except that you'll be more successful, quicker, and with less stress. And the reason why is because a venture studio brings the conditions around an entrepreneur or a founder that typically make it really hard to launch a business. So first of all is the approach. I've been building businesses in this way for a decade. You've got experts like Abdul and people who have built businesses have been there before. So we're aware of what's coming, and we design it so that we can move quicker and we avoid the normal pitfalls. The second reason is infrastructure, shared infrastructure. We have a biolab over there. Sarah runs it at Newlab, so have a chat with her. Stay tuned for an announcement from Newlab about our future investment in building spaces specifically focused on biology. And also the team that we have here actually become your HR and operations team, accounting team. You don't have to think about accounting and onboarding and HR and policies and all of that kind of stuff. We organize that for you so that the team can really focus on what's important, which is understanding what the product is and getting a product a fit with the market. And then we provide investment and connection to partners who can help to grow and scale. And finally, community. So 200 entrepreneurs all in this building solving problems every day are able to help you solve your problems that you're building out. How do I build a bioreactor? How do I culture this cell, etc.?
So when you're talking about prototyping, who should I talk to?
Prototyping would be 10x beta, or maybe physical synthesis over in the corner.
And if maybe you got some contamination in your bioreactor and you want to find out what kind of bacteria are in there, who are you going to go to?
Kingdom Superculture, who used to be in this building but expanded and now are over there. We could connect you up with Kendall.
And if you want to maybe look at how machine learning algorithms could be applied to a biological process,
machine learning has to be applied Excel. Francesco, he's launched a company on using machine learning to tell truth in media. Any others?
That's 3 examples out of 200, so
good.
There's a lot more.
I made it. And finally, you know, entrepreneurship can be a really lonely journey, and that's often why it is hard. But we're your team from day one. If you need a hug, Abdul's going to give you one. So if you'd like to come and chat with us, please do. This is the Venture Studio team down here. Wave your hands and see our faces. We'll be around all day today. And I do just want to make a specific call out for those of you who maybe right now are discounting yourself in your head. Oh, that's not me. I probably don't fit what they're looking for. If you're thinking that, please come and talk to us. It's just a conversation, and maybe you are what we're looking for. But if not, it's going to be a wonderful conversation anyway, and we would love to meet you and get to know you a little bit more. So thank you so much for having us. We're so impressed by everything that you do, and we're so humbled and excited to be a part of this industry and hopefully contribute something to its growth and impact on the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more round of applause for that, please. That is amazing news. And that's amazing news not just for the New York ecosystem, but for the cell ag ecosystem as a whole and for the entire New Harvest community. I know some of you out there have been having some very interesting conversations and started to come up with some early ideas in your head about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if someone built this? You might be someone. So make sure to get in touch with the Newlab folks. We're very, very excited about this initiative.